Yes, present.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hello, good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon. What?
Currently we are having a good evening over here, and it's even a better evening seeing so many people here gathering for this workshop. So,
Awesome.
I guess enough people have joined, and we can start with with it. A very good evening, fellow Toastmasters, leaders, and guests. I, Toastmaster Devan, your Salary Rams welcomes you to this workshop organized by the Division F, District 124. The flow of the session would be in form of a podcast. Toastmaster Nitin, as you all know, would be moderating the session. We have taken a few questions from our audience, and Toastmaster Nitin would also like to throw his questions and questions related to public speaking that we all want to know. And we all hope that today all our doubts regarding public speaking, how we can enhance it, how we can become a better speaker, how our stage fear can be gone, all these questions would be addressed, and we can really have a really benefit from it. Moving further, I would like to begin by stating the mission of Toastmasters. We at Toastmasters provide a supportive and positive learning environment in which members are empowered to develop their communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self confidence and personal growth. Before we start the workshop, I want to highlight a few key points. Please make sure you follow the instruction as and when they are shared by the trainer. Please do not exit the Zoom room once the workshop has commenced. Regarding the topics of sex, religion, and politics, even the Toastmasters International does not put any restrictions on speaking on these topics. At Division F, we request all members and guests to be mindful and responsible. Please abstain from expressing any controversial views on these sensitive topics. Please stay on mute throughout the meeting and unmute yourself only uh, when you are asked to do so. In case you have any doubts or you want to pop up the questions in between the podcast or the 1 hour session that we are going to have, you can put your questions on the chat box. Okay. I really thank you all for joining over here. And I hope that each one of us have an amazing and enriching workshop. Before I begin the workshop, I would also like to address the presence of a few district leaders that are here. First of all, we have our district parliamentarian, Ayan Pal DTM, with us in the workshop. And next up, we also have our district PR manager, Ayush Vaidya DTM, with us. So thank you, everyone, for joining in. To moderate the session, someone you have already known for the past 10 minutes, you all have interacted with him, Toastmaster Nitin. Toastmaster Nitin has someone who is always ventured on his journey of Toastmasters with a smile on his face. He is one of our veteran Toastmasters at Division F, always striving to learn and enrich lives through his presence. He is a lover of philosophy, history, and arts. He has previously worked as a radio jockey, done theaters, and is currently working with ShareChat in the content field. Please welcome Toastmaster Nitin, our moderator for today's session, with a round of applause. And with this, I would like to hand over the stage to Toastmaster Nitin. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Devang. And we all will raise a toast to our guest of the evening. But before that, a little teaser about a superhero movie. Everybody loves superhero movies, right? You
I
can tell me in the
love
chat box.
I love Spider-Man.
Great. So this superhero movie starts with 6 minutes. That seemed like an eternity. Her heart stopped for 6 minutes and then she was sent back to Earth so that a lot of homeless dogs could be rescued and humans could learn life lessons. 6 minutes, 40 seconds. Yes, it's a recurring theme. That was all the time she needed to conquer the world with honesty, humor, and a disarming smile. She loves coloring the world with beautiful colors of hope. Her speeches are part of every Toastmaster journey now. She has a wicked sense of humor, a voice that commands learned audience members like you and people like me in the same way. And she carries a treasure trove of stories that warm the heart with a certain and always needed hope. She knows the magic of communication. And if you don't fall for the magic, she also knows Mexican judo, the art form, actually the martial arts form that can make the gods joke. What none of us has done is not only being the champion of public speaking, but also we haven't seen God. She has seen her God. Even St. Peter's with an iPad. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please open your camera and clap for her because she told us a few days ago that she doesn't still believe that she is the world champion 2024 of public speaking. So please put your hands together and welcome Toastmaster Luisa.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Hi, great morning. How are you?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So since I'm lazy, so I have asked my family, Toastmaster family, to write some questions for you. And if you don't like any of the questions, you know who wrote them. My Toastmaster family members. But the first one, as they ask, how did Toastmaster come to your life? Because we know that once you started in 1989 and then left, then came back in 2013. So how did it all start?
Thank you. That's a great question. Back in 1989, I had just moved to Austin, Texas, and I had started to work for Abbott Laboratories. And there at Abbott, for 3 months, you're a temporary employee. You're not permanent yet. And after 3 months, if you show up every day on time and do your work, they will hire you to permanent. So I was going down the hall to human resources to fill out all the paperwork. And when I passed one room, an office, I heard people laughing. And I said, this isn't right. People laughing, having
Right.
fun at work.
Work.
It's not
Never
heard of.
happened.
Right. Never happened. Doesn't happen. So when I looked inside the room, because the door had a small piece of glass, there was a gentleman giving a speech and they were all laughing. And I put my ear to the window and I could hear his jokes. And the first thing I think of is, I'm funnier than he is. What's going on?
Correct.
I tried to open the door, but they won't let me because it's actually a humorous contest. And after he finishes speaking, he opens the door and I asked him, excuse me, what's going on? He says, we're having a humorous contest right now. This is Toastmasters. And I said, can I compete right now? He says, no, ma'am, you have to be a member first. I went, oh, okay. So my first meeting was actually a humorous contest and I joined right then and there. So after that, I was hooked with Toastmasters.
And entry into a Toastmasters was just like your job. 3 months, you have to come on time, deliver, and then you will be invited to the contest.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay, so you started and you saw a humorous contest going on and you thought that you are more humorous than these speakers. What was the most natural thing that you thought that you are made up for the Toastmasters bit only? Something that came to you naturally, like humor was.
I think with humor, I have a natural ability or talent to bring humor into any speech. What I didn't realize I was doing when I first started Toastmasters was I was speaking very fast and I wouldn't breathe and I would have to keep going on and on and on and I would get nervous and so I talk real fast. So what Toastmasters taught me was to slow down, put in a pause, let the audience listen to you and be able to absorb what you were saying. So that was the main thing I needed to work on when I first started Toastmasters. I needed to slow down because I would speak very fast because I was nervous. So that's what Toastmasters helped me with. Humor, I can do. Voices, I can do. Jokes, all that, yes. But to slow down, that was probably the hardest thing for me to learn. Still learning.
But in your first time when you were a Toastmaster in 1989, you didn't slow down, you left. Is there a story?
Well, actually what happened was my job had the Toastmaster. So it was a job club. And after 3 years, they no longer wanted to support the club or Toastmasters. So I kept working there. I worked there 25 years. But the first 3 years that I was there, I was with Toastmasters. Now, I think the mistake I made was after my job said no more Toastmasters, I should have gone to look for another Toastmaster club, but I didn't. I was working 80 hours a week, and it was rather hard for me to have any spare time. But once I retired, I was able, back in 2012, I was able to find another Toastmasters here in my hometown, and I joined immediately.
Thank God you did.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
from 2012 onwards, you started a whole new chapter in your life vis-a-vis Toastmasters. Anything that you felt that Toastmasters should take more seriously, but they don't?
Yes.
What?
Excellent question. Excellent question. To me, when I was in high school and I was competing in high school at speech tournaments, they would have 3 or 4 judges. The judges would fill out a form and tell you, you need to work on this, you need to work on this, you need to work on this. However, with Toastmasters, you have judges, but you never get any feedback from the judges.
Mm.
You don't know what you did right, what you did wrong, what you could improve on. There is no way to know what you're doing, whether it's good or not. So I think if Toastmasters really wanted to empower the member, we would be able to look at the judges' scores. Now, I don't need to know anybody's name. I don't need to know who or what said about me. I want to know how I can get better. And to me, if I would be able to, like for my speech in Anaheim in August, if I could get, hey, this, and this, you need to improve on. Okay, great. Now that's going to help me become a better speaker. So if anything, I think if we could get some kind of feedback from the judges, now I don't need to know their names. I just want to know, how can I improve? How can I get better? I think that would help the actual member.
I hope everybody is here from Division F. They can use it in the future. That judges can tell the participants what did they do right or wrong, and they can improve from there.
Right.
So 2012 onwards, how did you plan your speeches?
Here's one thing when you are competing, or it was with me. I'm not saying with everybody, but to me, I would take a life lesson, and it had to be a lesson that my entire audience would be able to relate to. Whether I gave a speech once when I had cancer, I had breast cancer, and usually when you say cancer, everybody gets sad or depressed, and I made a humorous speech about when I had cancer. So to me, any little thing that happened in my life that I think my audience would benefit from, that's usually what I tried to give a speech about. Now, I competed for 7 years and never won at district in 7 years. So every time I would write a new speech, I felt I was having to reinvent myself and to be different than the last speech, which is hard to do because we are very comfortable being ourselves. But to actually have to try to change everything that we know or feel strongly about in a speech, that's what I kept doing so I could find out what it was the judges wanted so I could win. So that's basically what I do. I take from all my life lessons whatever is going to benefit my audience, and then try and reinvent myself to where I give the speech in a different style or different manner, so it's not like the same style all the time. I don't know if that
A
made sense.
wicked sense of humor and a superhero. So what happens that I have seen your speeches and I see a lot of self-deprecating humor. Like I'm talking about my God, because I didn't want to offend anyone. I wanted to offend everyone. Self-deprecating humor seems very good till I'm deprecating myself. But what happens when other people take a note out of your book and start doing the same with you? Have you ever faced that?
That is perfectly okay. And let me tell you why, to me, self-deprecating humor works. You see, when you are a speaker, the last thing you want to do is insult or offend your audience. So you
Right.
can't say, you know what you did wrong? No. For my audience, I think for my audience to accept me, I have to say, do you know what I did wrong? This is what I did. Oh my gosh. How stupid could I have been? And it's okay because the audience is comfortable with me talking about myself. The audience, I don't think, will ever be comfortable with me talking about things you did wrong. Do you see?
Right.
So, and here's the thing, the trick is if you do the self deprecating humor properly or correctly, when I gave my speech in 2019, I was talking about racism. So I
Right.
used a story that actually happened to me. But what I wanted my audience to take away was for them to watch me and say, wow, Luisa's a racist. You know what? I think sometimes I'm a racist too. That's all it is. All I can
Correct.
hope for is that the audience is able to see themselves somewhere in my speech when I'm talking about myself. And to me, that's why self-deprecating humor works.
Coming to that speech, it never seemed like a story. It seemed like we were there with the jack and the hammer and everything. So, do you rehearse a lot, or do you go and just talk loudly, think loudly on stage? Does that happen, or do you rehearse a lot after writing?
And that is a great question. I'll tell you what, it's both. I'm going to answer the question first. My dad always said, answer the question and then you talk about it. I do both. I practice what I'm going to say over and over and over. But when I'm on the stage, I usually wind up doing something different. I don't practice that because to me, that needs to come naturally. And it usually does. I am able to get on stage, do stuff naturally, but in my head, I know exactly what my speech is going to sound like. And as a tip, if you're ever going to give a speech and you win at club and then area and then division and district, and you keep going on, the best way to keep your speech fresh is I always grab my iPhone and it has something called voice memo. So I will write my speech out perfectly the way I want it to sound. And then I will record it exactly the way I want it to sound so it's fresh. And then I listen to that recording over and over and over. And it's kind of like a song. Everybody sings happy birthday to you. It always sounds the same. So if you listen to your speech over and over and over the first time you recorded it, then it always sounds fresh. It doesn't sound boring after you've said it 100 times because now you're memorizing the way it sounded the first time you said it. That's how I keep my speeches fresh so it sounds the same every single time I say it.
And they are so complete despite not going overtime. Although some people's going overtime has helped you, we will come to that. But starting from where you were told to slow down, that means you had a lot to say and you couldn't complete your speech in given time. And coming to 6 minutes 40 seconds and completing the world champion speech, not even the icebreaker. So I would want you to tell us about your icebreaker in 2012 when you started. How was your experience giving an icebreaker? Did you go overtime or did you complete it in 6 minutes 30 seconds?
I don't think I have ever gone over time in a speech. I have never gone over time in a speech during contest. And let me tell you how serious I was about the contest speech. I would go back, and usually when you're starting a speech, you will start with 8 minutes. And then if it's a humorous speech, you need to go down to maybe 5.5 or 6 minutes to allow your audience time to laugh. I
Right.
remember in 1990 when I was competing in the humorous contest, I went back and started counting syllables in a sentence. I went outside to walk the dog. Eight syllables. How
Yes.
can I make that shorter? I went to walk the dog. So now I've gone from 8 syllables to 6 syllables. So that's how serious I was. I would go back and cut down my speech and my sentences so that I could say the same thing, but in less words. And that gave me more time. And that's how serious I usually am when it comes to a contest speech. You have to allow yourself at least 2 minutes for the audience to laugh, to cry, to boo, to clap, to whatever it is. You have to allow your audience 2 minutes of time. And unfortunately, 2 people did not do that in Anaheim.
Right. 1989 to 2024, 35 years onwards, the journey continues, but it has come full circle. You knocked at the door of the Toastmasters office when the contest was on, and then you are the world champion today. Did you think about it when you started your journey? Because contest has been a recurring theme in your journey in Toastmasters.
I did not think of that only because I didn't know that there was a competition that was worldwide. I was just trying to win district. That's all I wanted to win. I didn't learn until later that this was there was also a worldwide competition. Once I found out about that, that's what I started working towards, the worldwide competition. I love to compete, and that's why. That's why.
Yes, you love to compete, and nobody loves to compete against you.
But let me tell you this.
Yes.
When I went to district, I wouldn't win. And here's the thing. You think I would see certain people because they always competed and they would beat me. And when I would see them, I would get mad and then I would tell myself, you have to bring your best game to the contest. Now, what did it do when I knew I was going to compete against somebody better than me? I had to get better. So if people
Right.
compete against me and you really want to win, guess what you have to do? You have to get better. So I was so glad that I saw this as a challenge instead of a defeat. In other words, you didn't defeat me, you're challenging me. And guess what? Me and a challenge, I'm there. So being able to compete against people that were better than me, that was a challenge, and it only made me better. And to me, that's how I see when people are in contests. Don't think of it as somebody defeating you. Think of somebody challenging you and you yourself getting better.
This is such a good insight for life as well. It's not only in Toastmasters, but in life. If somebody, you feel that you are defeated, then you give up. But if you feel like challenge, you are just getting up. Great insight.
Perfectly said. Thank you. Yes.
What do you think? Which parts of your speech people appreciate the most? Because for me, when you start, the voice just commands the whole attention. Although I'm not listening to it live, I was listening to it on video and poor quality video sometimes. But when you start, it's just like you are touching some heartstrings with your voice, whether it is in the championship when you say clear. That is so beautiful. So, how do you prepare that, the voice?
Okay. I don't prepare and I don't have an answer. So let me explain.
Okay.
My best friend, her son was 8 years old. My nephew was also 8 years old, and they were best friends growing up. I went for Christmas and bought each one of them a little skateboard from Walmart as a Christmas gift. One child took that skateboard and became a professional with skateboarding. My nephew wasn't good at skateboarding, so he didn't become a professional. So there are some actual natural talents that speakers have, and some talents that speakers have to work at. So with me, I think I was given a natural talent from, of course, my God. And I don't practice on my voice. I just speak the way I always speak. And for some reason, I don't know if I think it was Star Wars at the very end where Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father." It's that voice. It's James Earl Ray Jones. His voice is so commanding, and I don't think he practices at it. He has been given a natural voice or talent of a voice, and he's used it well. And I think that's what I have, if that's what I have. I
How many
don't.
hearts are broken with that?
Now, I will tell you this, because I
Yeah,
was able to slow down, my voice did drop, not a decibel, but it did drop not even an octave, but it did drop a little. And to me, when you get excited, your voice goes up, and that sometimes that can become piercing and almost irritating. So if you
right.
want to practice on your voice, maybe speak in a lower level than in a higher level. I think that might help.
That's a great advice. Now, Toastmaster family has asked one question. That is, what was the most difficult speech for you?
It was the speech I gave that won first place, because um, I love talking and injecting humor and my life experiences and funny stuff. But to me, this wasn't funny. The fact that I died and then I was brought back to life. And to me, it was very, very
Traumatic.
personal and possibly very powerful. So I had to interject humor when I went to heaven and saw St. Peter and talking to God. I had to put that in there because I didn't want it to be such a serious speech. For me, it took a lot, because there's one line I say there where I said, and even though my father says quitters cry, I started to cry. That was a very hard line for me to leave in, because I didn't want the audience to know that I was crying, because it's something my father said we don't do. No, he would always say, "You want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about." But for me, it was probably the hardest speech I had to deliver, because I was very raw and open and emotional. So that would be the reason why it was hard for me to deliver, because I was exposing myself. There you go. Yeah.
And the difficulty has started some time ago when you didn't want even to fly to the venue. What happened that morning? And who did you hate with gusto?
For those of you that don't know, my I always wanted to make my mother proud of me, and that's kind of why I started in Toastmasters, because she was such an eloquent speaker. I will never be as good a speaker as she was, and she wasn't even in Toastmasters, but she could command a room like no one I've ever seen. And she passed away 6 weeks before the contest. And 2 years ago, I lost my life partner of 24 years. So the night before I'm supposed to get on the airplane to go to Anaheim to compete, I had a little bit of a breakdown. And I asked myself, why are you going? the two people you wanted to impress, the two people you wanted to make proud of you are no longer alive. So why go? Within a minute, I got a text message from Jeff Stein, who is a Toastmaster in Chicago that I have never met. And he texted me because he had been keeping in contact with me. How do you feel about your speech? How's it going? Do you want me to help you? Can I listen to you? What can I do? So he was always giving me words of encouragement. But right when I remember the night before I was supposed to get on the plane, I was outside in my car, and I had almost convinced myself, why go compete? Just do it again next year if you want. See if you can get to the finals. And he sent me a message, and it said, you never know who you're influencing. Don't ever give up. And I looked at it and I went, wow. And again, I think that was my God sending me a message through Jeff Stein. And I called him. I said, Jeff. And he said, hey, Luisa, are you ready? Are you ready to get on the plane? I said, no, I hate you. He says, why do you hate me? I said, I hate you because I had almost convinced myself not to go, not to compete. And he said, Luisa, this is your year. You have to go. And I said, okay. So I almost did not get on the plane, and luckily Jeff was there to convince me that it would be worth the trip, and it was.
Thank you so much, Jeff, wherever you are. Thank you so much for giving us the World Champion 2024. And thank you so much, Luisa, for doing this. Because after all is said and done, this is what matters, that you are inspiring so many people. And the way you are doing it is commendable. People, please clap for her. Please put your hands together for such a wonderful story, and coming from just the place where you would miss. Now, a dreaded question. So many backouts happen. One of them must have happened. That's why I'm getting the privilege to talk with you here as well. But so many happen in a Toastmasters meeting. So many people are not ready, not prepared. They don't get on the plane. They don't reach the meeting. Did it happen with you as well when you are preparing for the roles? Or do you have a magical trick that you use to avoid it totally?
This is a great question. And again, I think this can apply to anything and everything in life. Right now, I hate to admit it, but I am overweight. Okay? How serious am I about losing weight? I'm not real serious because I'm still overweight. Now, one good thing is I'm starting to be able to walk a little more. So I'm able to do more and exercise more. I know I shouldn't be drinking sodas. I know I shouldn't eat the candy or the cake or the dessert. But how serious am I about losing weight? Apparently not that serious. Now, how serious was I about winning the contest? I was very serious because I was practicing. I was going over my notes. I was performing different to get feedback because I wanted to win. And that's why this is in anything in life. If you really want to become a better speaker, practice, listen to evaluations, talk with other people, get feedback, all this kind of stuff. Show up to meetings, show up to different meetings, go on Zoom. It's listen to podcasts on how to give a great speech. If you are really serious about something, you are going to find a way to conquer it. And that's what it was. That's what it was for me. I really wanted to win, so I really was practicing. I was performing in front of different clubs. I was getting feedback. I was analyzing myself, all that. I was watching other videos of past speakers. Whatever you really want in life, that's what you're going to excel at. Because why? Because you really want it. Now I really want to have to learn to lose weight.
You are beautiful the way you are.
Well, thank you so much. But I have a lot of clothes in my closet that don't fit. So So I need to lose weight.
Happy journey on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Yes.
You have been playing a mentor to us since 2019 itself when we first saw you on YouTube. But right now, I want to ask one more question that is totally related to Toastmasters family. That is the mentor-mentee relationship. Who was your mentor?
I had and probably everybody, I hope, I had an amazing mother and father. And what really made their relationship work is I remember one day I was a kid. I was maybe 8, 9 years old, and it was raining outside. And my brother said, "Hey, let's go outside and climb the tree." We had a really big tree in our backyard. And my mother said, "You're not going to go outside and climb on the tree because it's raining. Something could happen to you. You could fall." And my father said, "Let them go. Let them go climb the tree. And if they fall and they learn on their own." So guess what? We went outside and we were climbing the tree. And guess what happened? I fell.
Well,
And I landed on my back, and I actually couldn't breathe for what seemed like forever, but it was probably, I don't know, 10 seconds, and I couldn't breathe. And then I went back inside, and my mom looks at me, and she didn't say a word. She didn't say, "I told you so," or, "Are you okay?" She didn't say anything. And my father looked at me, and he didn't say anything. But guess what? I learned that if I am ever going to go climb a tree in the rain again, I need to be very careful. So I think that's the beautiful relationship they had, where my mother always wanted to protect me, but my father was, "Go, go, you can do it, whatever it is, you can do it. I know you can." Another mentor I had is Phyllis Allen. She's actually a Toastmaster in my club, and she will be turning 95 years old here in a few months. She's been in
wow.
Toastmasters almost 50 years. She's amazing. She tells me the honest truth. And there's a few mentors that won't do that. And to me, if a mentor is not telling you the honest truth, are they really helping you? I've had a few people call me and say, "Can you help me on a speech? Can you be my mentor? Can you coach me?" And the first thing I say is, "Do you have thick skin?" Because I am going to tell you the honest truth. I am not going to say, "Oh, that was great," and it not be great. I can't do that to you. I do not want to waste your time. So, as for mentors, it was my mother, my father, and then Phyllis Allen in Toastmasters. And I'm hoping that if anybody is a mentor or a mentee, that they take in consideration the fact that as a mentor, you need to help your mentee become a better whatever it is they want to become better at. I just hate wasting time, and I want to get to the root of the problem, and we're going to fix it. And to me, that's how I think a mentor-mentee relationship should be. It could be harsh on my part, but I don't want somebody telling me, "You were great." No, no, that doesn't help me at all. Tell me what I did wrong. That's what I want. But that's me.
And tell me what I did wrong came to your rescue or just to confuse you just before the championship. When you're listening to other speakers, you were thinking of changing the speech at the last moment. What was going on in your mind? Why were you so not ready to deliver that beautiful speech?
The reason I wasn't ready is because I didn't want the world to know that I was weak enough that I died. I was weak enough that I was crying. I was weak enough that I was going through depression. I was weak enough to not think I was worth anything. Those are, to me, elements that I don't think anybody wants anyone to know, much less the world to know. So that's why I thought, let me talk about this dog that I almost saved, from getting hit in the street. That I was going to change it to a dog story I had. And when she told me, "You can't change your speech, Luisa, the contest is in 6 hours. And I thought, okay, I guess I can't change it. So I went back to my hotel room and I looked at the speech and I thought, this speech isn't good enough. And then I remember looking at myself in the mirror there at the little desk in the room, and I said, Luisa, you're a hypocrite, because you've been telling everybody at the semifinal speech I gave was about believing in yourself and you can do anything you set your mind to. And here I was at the last minute trying to change my mind. And I said, Luisa, you're a hypocrite. You need to listen to what you just told everybody else. And so I looked at the speech. I said, well, this can either be the best speech you've ever given, or it can be the worst speech you've ever given. Which do you want to do? And I said, okay, no, I want to give the best speech I've ever given. And I looked at it with fresh, open eyes, and I just started dissecting and making a few little tweaks. I said, okay, this, and this, and this, and this. Okay, great. Great. It's the perfect speech. It's the best speech you're ever going to give. And I went out there with that attitude, and I guess it worked. For 5 to 7 minutes, it worked.
Of course it did. And it is still working. We are listening to it and learning from it all the time. You have always been, we have seen that you always use props. How many are enough? And what goes in your mind when you are choosing them? Because they seem totally fit to the story, but there could have been another thing as well, and you could have made it work. So how do you choose it, and what should be someone must be careful about while choosing props?
So, great question. And the thing about props is, let me answer the question first. Okay, Dad, I'm listening. Answer the question first. The prop must help the story. It must not overcome or overtake the story. And the main one, and this is where people sometimes make a mistake with props, is realize that your audience is intelligent. That's what it is. Because for my semifinal speech, I talked about being a drummer and playing the drums. And I had drumsticks with me. And somebody said, why don't you carry a drum on stage? I said, my audience is intelligent enough to where I have drumsticks. They know I'm talking about playing a drum. They don't need the whole drum, or like right here, they don't need the whole drum set. They don't, they just the drumsticks and a couple of sounds with that, and you're good. So don't intimidate your audience by thinking they don't know what you're talking about. Do not let your props overcome or overtake your speech, but to where they just lend a little bit enough to where you go, oh yeah, that was pretty cool. Like right now, you said I had a tire iron and a hammer, I had a rosary, I had a cowboy hat on.
Yes.
If I needed to do the speech without those, I could have made it work, but they enhanced the speech just enough to where you say, you know what, it worked. It was good. Yeah. I didn't walk out with some big contraption. It was something small, something I could carry. It worked.
Yeah, that's but again, I said.
And then again, give your audience credit, because your audience is intelligent and they are able to put 2 and 2 together. It's going to make 4. So yes.
Right. That's why I said initially that you just take us to that particular place. It doesn't look like a speech that was written or a story that you are telling. It takes us there and we feel at the same place. Then again, some questions from my Toastmasters family. Most of them seem like existential questions. So if you don't want to answer some, you can tell me without using Mexican judo. I will move on. So first one is, how to memorize a script? That is the question that every actor in the world, every student in the class, every teacher, everyone who has been to an exam wants to know. But one rider is there. How to recall is, you might be able to memorize the whole book, but in those 6 minute 30 seconds to 7 minute 30 seconds, you have to recall as well. So please take that under consideration.
This is an easy answer for me. Now, if I sit here, what is your favorite song? And you don't have to answer, but I bet you know all the words to your favorite song. Why? Because you play it over and over and over and over and over again. Whenever you hear it on the radio, oh, you raise the volume and you're singing the song. And whenever you have it on your iPod or your tablet or your phone or YouTube, you're playing your favorite song and you know all the words. And a song is 3.5 minutes. So I know everybody has at least 2 songs memorized. You put that together, that's 7 minutes. So with the same concept, again, I'll take my phone, I'll go to voice memo, I'll hit record, I'll read my speech exactly the way I want it to sound fresh the first time or the second time. And then I'm washing dishes, I've got my phone, I hit play, and I'm listening to my speech. I'm driving to the store, I hit play, I'm listening to my speech. So the exact same way that it sounds the first time you recorded it is the exact same way you're going to present the speech. And it comes to where before you know it, it's just flowing. It's like you're a song you're singing. It moves. It's now this may take you 2, 3, 4 weeks to accomplish, but you'll get it. You will get it. And to me, that's the easiest way for me to do it. Now, some people might be different. They might have different methods, and that's great. Whatever works for you, try anything and everything. But for me, that's what works for me.
So write, record, listen, repeat, and do it with split focus while doing other things. So maybe you are able to recall it. Thank you
Yes.
so much for that great insight into memorizing the script. Okay, next one is related to recall. Do you ever remember anything on stage when you went blank? And how did you come back from there?
Oh, I, I, I don't know if you've been doing your research, but back in 1990, just to let you know what my goal was, I had just been Toastmaster for a year. And I wanted to win first place in humorous
speech,
table topics, evaluation, and international. I wanted to win first place in all of those in the same year, just to let you know what my goal was. The conference was for humorous and table topics back in 1990 in Corpus Christi, Texas. And Friday night, I got on stage and I won the table topics contest. I won first place, and I went, yes. And Saturday, I was supposed to compete in the humorous, and I said, man, I've got this piece of cake. And I get on stage, and after 2 minutes, for the first time in a long time, my brain just stopped. I could not remember the rest of my speech. I had 400 people looking at me like, and I even tried to go back and start the speech again, and I couldn't remember the first line of my speech. And as a cheat note, if you ever go back and look at sometimes on my videos, I will write the first sentence of my speech. I will write it right here on my hand. So in case I ever get on stage and I can't remember my first sentence, I look down and I go, oh, there it is. That's it. That way I can start it again. But back in 1990, I got on stage. I completely forgot my entire speech. And after 30 seconds of me not saying anything, I just said, well, I guess I'm finished. Thank you very much. And I walked off stage and people applauded. But it taught me to be ready for anything. And I got a lot more serious with remembering, rehearsing, reciting my speech after that, because every time I walk on stage since then, I was always afraid that was going to happen again. So I got more serious about, okay. And then it would be where I would have people I would be giving a speech and I would say, interrupt me. And they would interrupt me, and then I would come back to where I left off. So I started training my mind. Okay, even if somebody interrupts me, I'm going to be able to remember where I was in the speech. And so it prepared me, and I'm glad it happened in 1990 and not 2024. So,
Of course. So one disclaimer, anybody who's in school or college, don't write it in here. It's still criminal to cheat in exams. Speeches you can. For speeches you can. And if you want to compete against her or you want to learn, one thing you must have learned from this certain discourse as well, that she remembers the Friday and Saturdays as well. The details, the kind of details she's giving us. So that is how you have to live life so that you can remember everything. Now, another question, nervousness, dryness in throat, excessive sweating, the voice trailing off. This is something that I always feel when I'm on stage. This is really someone who knows me has written it. So, how does one control this nervousness? How do you control it?
great question. Let me ask you a question. What are you afraid of when you get on stage? What are you afraid of? Giving a bad speech? You're always
Right.
going to give a bad speech. I've given bad speeches. I forgot my speech. We're human. It's going to happen. But what are you afraid of? You're afraid of people are going to laugh at you? They're either going to laugh at you because you made a joke, or they're going to laugh at you because that's the rude kind of person they are. So what are you afraid of? So you get on stage. I still get a little nervous because I'm thinking, please don't forget your speech, like what happened in 1990. So when you get on stage and you have butterflies and everything, that happens to everyone. When you're going to take a test at school, you're going to have an exam. Are you nervous? Nervous that you might not pass? But what do? You take the test anyway, correct? You take the test. You don't just say, wow, I'm really nervous. I'm scared. I'm not going to take the test. No, you take the test. And then you get it back. You go, oh, wow, I did better than what I thought I was going to do. Or, oh, man, I should have studied more. Either way, it's either going to be bad or it's going to be good. And guess what? After so many bads, one of them is going to come out and it's going to be good. And why? Because you actually went through all the bads. So you give a bad speech. The next week, you give another bad speech. The 10th time, hey, your speeches are getting a little better. You think so? Yes, because of that evaluation. And okay, the 20th speech, getting pretty good. Not everybody's, but me, I am the perfect example. You are not always going to give the perfect speech. And if that's what you're afraid of, that happens to everybody. 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 What are you afraid of? You giving a bad speech? We've all given bad speeches. You're going to forget? I forgot. So what are you afraid of? Give the speech. Just give it.
You have just totally proved what you said about your mentees. They have to be thick skin.
Yes.
And anybody
Yes.
who wants to be on stage and deliver speeches has to be. Ilios has written, I'm afraid of being targeted by Rotten Tomatoes. Well, they use it for sauces. They are not going to throw it on you. So don't be afraid of that, please. What are the most recurring challenges for you in Toastmasters? For me, it has always been listening to a good evaluation. Good meaning cruel, honest, they say it, but it's cruel and it just rips you apart, basically your speech, and it hurts the ego a bit too much. What has been your challenge in Toastmasters journey?
I like what you said with your ego. Being as competitive as I am, my ego is the last thing I care about. I leave it at the door. It doesn't matter. And I'll tell you what, there are people that I compete against, and I ask them, hey, did you hear my speech? What did you think? People that don't like you are going to be very honest. People that love you, like your parents or your friends, oh, you did a great job. that doesn't help me get better. So I want to know what my competitors, my enemies, my people that are not my best friends, I want to know what they're going to say, because they are going to be very honest. And when you get an honest evaluation, if it's going to hurt your feelings, you're in the wrong business. Because the only way you're going to get better is when people tell you the truth and how you react to it. Now, if you want to take something personal, that right there might be the problem. You're taking it personally. Don't take it personally. If somebody gets up there and falls on his face giving a speech, everybody in the audience is thinking he shouldn't have done that. Why? Because it's obvious, it's evident. So when somebody tells you, hey, slow down, hey, speak louder, hey, you're mumbling, guess what? They're telling you that so you can become better. That's all it is. And if you have to, record yourself and go back and look at it. And when somebody says you're mumbling, oh, wow, they're right. I was mumbling. Nobody could understand what I was saying. If you're not thick skinned, just ask all your friends to tell you how good you are and see how far that gets you. It's not going to get you to first place, or it's not going to get you to win a speech contest. And to me, that's with anything.
Whether people are telling you that how good you are or they are tearing you apart. Once you are on the world stage, the expectations run high. How do you deal with such expectations?
Oh, can I be honest here?
Yes.
I have worked 13 years to be where I am today. I have been in Toastmasters 13 years. I have lost over 40 contests. I have won even fewer contests. But if somebody wants to tell me what they think of me, that's their opinion. How bad do you want something? How much time and effort are you going to put into what you want? To me, that's the answer. If people tell you you're terrible, don't take it personally. They're telling you that for a reason. Now, when somebody would tell me, I didn't like what you said about this, it's like, okay, perfect example. You know how many people told me not to mention God in my speech? I think there were only, out of everybody I talked to, I think there were only 2 people that said, well, Luisa, I could tell you not to say it, but you're going to do what you want to do anyway. Absolutely right. You know why? I said it. I pushed the boundaries. I pushed the limits. You know why? Because it didn't matter if I was going to win or lose. I can always go back next year. That was my attitude. I said, if I don't win this year, I'll come back next year. And that's exactly what I thought when they were announcing the winners. I was thinking, Luisa, you're not winning. You're going to have to try and come back next year. So say what you're going to say. Push the boundaries. Be tactful. Be considerate. Be professional. But also be true to yourself. And if you feel you've got something to say it. I don't know.
Just say it. Don't think too much.
That's a good way to put it.
That sums it up really well. The whole thing about expectations is when we are thinking outside, rather we should be thinking more inward. And that happened when you were 17. Dad told mom to go and work. She got a beautiful opportunity as well. But what happened next?
You're speaking about when my mother was as an
Right.
Avon manager. Yes. Well, at the age of 8 and 10 years old, she had me start speaking in front of 200 Avon ladies. And so now I have no fear of public speaking. And I think there's a lot of different messages I want to convey to my audience and to instill different mindsets for them. But if there's one thing that I would really like for a lot of Toastmasters to take away from my childhood is the fact that if you have children now, whether they're 5 years old or 10 or 15 or 20, get them in front of an audience so they are comfortable speaking in front of an audience. And you would be amazed how that will help them later on in life. And that is for that's not just competing in contests. If they're at a job and their job is requesting that they do a presentation, they're going to be comfortable doing that. And anytime you see anybody that's able to speak in front of people and be comfortable, you automatically elevate them as a person when they're able to do that. So give your children or your grandchildren the opportunity to start doing that now. So later on in life, it will not intimidate them. They will be comfortable doing it.
On that note, that seems like a message to me as well, although I don't have grandchildren yet, not even children. So I will give opportunities to all the beautiful people here to write their questions in the chat box, and don't get angry. I won't be able to take all the questions. It's just a 15-minute session and you just have to write all those questions that I haven't been able to ask because you didn't write it in the first time. So please write your questions. We will take it. And how much time you have taken to prepare that final speech? Deepak Sharma is asking.
The time it took me to prepare that final speech was approximately 4 to 5 months. I already had my semifinal speech memorized, solid. I was very comfortable with it. So that's when I started writing. I think it was when I knew I was going to district, I started getting serious about writing my final speech because I thought I had a good enough speech that I was going to win district, I was going to win regionals, and I was going to go to the semifinals. So it's probably about 5 months that I started working on the finals speech.
What are your hobbies other than public speaking? Rescuing dogs? What do you do to spend your free time? And of course, playing drums.
Besides playing the drums, I love my dogs. I actually, okay, so 2 nights ago, a friend of mine called me and said, there's a puppy that belongs to my neighbor, and I think another dog came and bit it. They don't have money to take the dog to the vet. Can you come look at it? I've been dealing with dogs for 8 years, and I've seen almost anything and everything. So I ran over to their house about 2 nights ago, and the puppy did have a little puncture wound. So I was able to take medicines. I was able to give it IV fluids. I was able to tell the owner, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to look out for. But I always tell them, if you want to take your dog to the vet, because I am not a vet, then take your dog to the vet, because tomorrow your dog might not make it. But it's anytime anybody has a situation where a dog or a cat or an animal needs help, I get calls at 2 a.m. saying, hey, somebody just dropped off a box of puppies in the alley. Can you come and look at them or come and pick them up? And that's what I do. Look, come here. Come here. Come here. It's like this one right here.
Oh.
Yeah. Like this one, right? I have 7 dogs. And then there's this one here. Come here. Come here. Come here. And then there's this one. You see? Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So they're all out here with me in the podcast because they like being out here with me. So that's what I basically spend my time on. And now that I've obtained the top level of Toastmasters when it comes to speaking contests, I will be using some of that for my platform to be able to raise awareness and start my clinic for homeless dogs. So that's the next chapter in my life.
Amazing. All the best for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Toastmaster Shreya is asking, why do we focus too much on telling personal stories? Why can't I talk of prominent people like Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi and a rider? You can talk about the Queen's incident as well that happened in your championship speech.
That's a great question. Why can't you talk about Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King? You can, absolutely. But you know what the difference is between giving a speech on Martin Luther King and telling a personal story about how it affected you with Martin Luther King? When you're just talking about Martin Luther King, it's not a speech, it's a report. So it has become a report. Why? Because you're giving us just the facts. Martin Luther King was born on this day, he was died on this day, he was assassinated, he did this, he did that. It's now a report, it's not a speech. I recall my father was telling me a story about Martin Luther King, how he met him one time in the grocery store, and he was this and he was that. Okay, now it's personal. And this all goes back to when you were a little kid, or some of us, when my mom would put us to sleep, and we would tell her, tell us a story. We have an inner child that always wants to hear a story. Tell us a story. Don't tell me the percentages of the economy today are 37%. However, the percentage of we want to hear that, but not all of it. Tell us a story. Tell us about what happened to you and why Nelson Mandela means so much to you. We want it to be personal so that we can relate with the speaker. The audience needs to relate to the speaker. And if you give us facts, we're not relating to you at all. So you can talk about Nelson Mandela. You can talk about Martin Luther King. Tell us a little private story. Why does it mean so much to you to want to talk about Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King? Tell us why. Get personal. We want to get inside of you to find out what it is that makes you tick and why you admire this person or why you don't like them. That's why. Because we want to relate to the speaker.
Anindita is saying your dogs are lovely. And Lauli is asking, what are some elements you usually consider when you are structuring your speech? Pen and paper ready, everyone.
What? I like you. So there's easy points to write down, and then there's going to be the hard points. And the easy one is something that's going to relate to your entire audience. Racism, oh gosh, I don't know, personal goals, personal failures. Those are the easy things. Something that an entire global audience is going to be able to relate to. With my speech, I talked about I doubted the value of my life. You can be anywhere in the world, and there might be one day where you think, man, what am I doing here? I feel like I'm wasting my time. Maybe things aren't going right in your life. That can be anyone, anywhere in the globe. Now, here's the hard part. Yeah, those are the easy things. Choosing something to write about. The hard thing is exposing yourself and being raw and vulnerable to where you get the audience's attention. Because you can get up there and say what everybody else has said, and it's not special. It's not different. I talked about crying. I talked about doubting my life, and yet here, a gentleman that had just lost his legs, just had surgery, was all excited about living life, and here I was crying that I was in a wheelchair. That was probably the biggest slap in the face that I have received, but yet I shared that with the audience. That was probably the hardest thing for me to do, because I showed and told my entire audience, I'm a jerk. I'm a jerk because here I am in a wheelchair, but this guy next to me doesn't even have legs and he's happy. Why am I not happy? that's going to be the hard part, is showing your audience exactly who you are. Yep.
Right. Toastmaster Tarun is asking, what is the top one skill that you learned after having through the World Championship of Public Speaking finals and winning? One particular skill.
That's a great question, because I don't know if it's so much a skill that I have acquired, but when I gave my 2019 speech, all the comments on YouTube were, that was hilarious, that was funny, that was great, I really enjoyed it, which was good. But this year, I go back and read the comments, and I get a lot of, that's very inspiring, that's very motivational, that's very heartwarming, thank you for sharing. And I did not expect to get that kind of response for a speech I didn't think was going to be good enough. So the skill that I think I've acquired is to realize that just because I don't think it's a good speech doesn't mean it's not a good speech. So, yeah.
Let them decide.
Exactly. Which is hard, because you want to be in control. And when you're
Right.
allowing your audience to be the ones driving, you're like, whoa, yeah, didn't know about that.
Now let's address the elephant in the room. Mohit Sahani is asking, what's your view on using AI technology in script writing process?
Woo. I don't think I have enough experience with that to be able to give an opinion. However, I don't think it would be, I think we are allowing someone else to dictate our creativity. And me personally, I don't want anybody coming back and saying, did you write that, or was that AI? Oh, no, it was AI. Yeah, I thought so. Oh, no. I mean, I am too proud, I think, ego, of the way I'm able to write and what I write. Now, I don't know, now in college, it's real easy to tell AI, hey, I need a 5-page report on Nelson Mandela. Boom, it's there. I think it boils down to a lot with maybe, and I don't want to say this the wrong way, but then sometimes I don't care, is the character of the person. If you're comfortable with, I don't know if it's cheating or not, if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. If it's allowed, you want to save yourself 5 hours, do it. I don't think I wouldn't be able to do that, because it's not me, it's AI. And if I'm going to put my name behind anything, it's going to be me. I don't know. And you know what? I'm 65 years old, so I'm not really hip or privy to all the new things going on out there. And that's cool. That's fine. That's my opinion. Now, I'm hoping that my opinion is okay with your opinion, because whatever you decide is going to be okay with me. Why? Because it's your opinion. That's fine. But for me, I don't think I know enough about AI to be able to give an intelligent response to that.
When the world champion of public speaking 2024 says that I don't have experience with AI writing, that I hope settles it, that you don't have to use AI for writing ever. Let them do anything, but don't let them come near your speech. And she puts it beautifully by saying that your ego should be strong enough when you are writing and you should be vulnerable enough when you are presenting. So in those two lines, I hope you solve the mystery of winning the world championship. The time is running fast, and for me, it has been like Upanishad. In India, we call Upanishad when you are asking your questions and sitting with someone and letting them answer all your questions. So this goes to the ancient times, and for me, it has been just like that. I hope for all of you, it has been the same experience. And now, before thanking you, Toastmaster Luisa, the screen is yours. You can tell anything that you want to tell for the next 4 5 minutes to these 77 beautiful people, and then we will be thanking you.
Again, thank you so much for this opportunity. If there's one thing beautiful about Toastmasters is that I have been able to experience different people and different cultures and different clubs from around the world. I'm excited to be in Chennai, India in May. So that is something that I am really looking forward to. The one thing I wanted to really express to anyone is when people call me the world champion, I want everyone to realize that I am no better a speaker than anyone. And I'll tell you why. I did 4 things to earn the championship. I said the right thing to the right judges on the right day at the right time. That's it. And how do I know that's why? Because I feel I've given better speeches and I think I should have won then, and I didn't. And when people come up to you and tell you, you should have won first, I tell them, you should have been a judge. So when you think I'm a great speaker, you can be a great speaker too. Now, another thing I want everyone to realize is everybody thinks it's a climb to the top of the mountain, and it's not. It's a climb to a plateau. And that plateau has room for everybody to be on the top of that plateau. If you need help getting up, I'll help you. And if I need help getting up, hopefully you'll help me. There is room for everybody to be on top. There's not one person at the top of the mountain. It's a lot of us. There's room for everyone. So please remember, I'm not better than anybody else. I just said the right thing to the right judges on the right day at the right time. And there's room for everybody at the top of the plateau. That's all I wanted everyone to know.
Everybody is clapping, and I believe this is the time when we get to talk with you and learn a lot from you. Starting from having a thick skin to having the confidence that you can do it, to getting the self doubts and not being ready and having friends with you, Toastmaster friends, who will always remind you that you can do it. And we have always been able to understand one thing with someone like you, that if you have self doubts, you are the only one who's going to fight with it. And you can still win. If you have fears, you can still go up on the stage and still continue to dazzle and perform at your best. Even in the worst situations, you find the light, you find out the humor, and you put people at ease by deprecating yourself and making them understand that they can relate their worst with your performance and become better. Learning that here in such a beautiful environment and being able to ask you questions, and thankfully you didn't ask for any questions ahead and you didn't say no to any questions. Even when you were not ready to answer, you gave the questions the dignity that they deserved. That is what freedom of expression is, people. That if someone is asking questions, they might not be the right people to ask that questions. They might not be that experienced, but the question is being asked from everyone. Like in Lucknow, we say hum. The journey from I to we happens when someone like Luisa gives you the opportunity to ask questions, answers them, and removes all the doubts from your mind by being such a beautiful soul and vulnerable at the same time. So, Luisa, I can't thank you enough today because it was a privilege listening to you, going through all the emotions and not avoiding a single question that I was asking and putting in effort to make us all feel so good while listening to you that we can also achieve, we can also become, and summing it up by saying that I'm no different. And that is the whole journey of Toastmasters is all about, that we are all the same.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to call upon the stage Toastmaster Asankhi Mohan to thank her formally.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Nitin and Toastmaster Louisa. Before that, before I again would express our gratitude towards Toastmaster Louisa, I would just want to express my heartfelt gratitude for the people who were behind the scenes, who were coordinating with distinct Toastmaster Louisa, be it Toastmaster Nitin, be it our division director Toastmaster Devang, especially our area director Toastmaster Manvi, who was constantly keeping in touch with Toastmaster Louisa, and most importantly to Toastmaster Louisa, who was making sure that she is joining the event at the right day at the right time, keeping in mind the different time zones. We moving from this was something that was being planned from October. We moved to November, wherein the time difference also increases by 1 hour. So just making sure, wherein she double checked, triple checked, or even 4 or 5 times, she just made sure that we are coordinating with the right time and the right place and the right hour for all of us. So thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, Toastmaster Louisa, for making this happen. I'm sure this was something wherein we were able to get a lot from your side. Special mention to our host, our radio jockey, uh, s- our, our you can say someone who I have looked up to in my initial like my Toastmaster journey, Toastmaster Nitin, who is again coming from my home club, who took up this role of doing some due diligence about your entire journey in Toastmasters in the past 1 week to 10 days and coming up with this entire podcast team. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Nitin, for making this happen. This was something. This was 1.5 years in coming. We were planning to start a podcast session, and none better than starting with our world champion of public speaking through Toastmaster Louisa. Thank you so much. And with this, I would just want to mention few names. I see a lot of division leaders, district leaders who have joined us. One of my mentors as well, distinguished Toastmaster Ayan Pal, has been there for the entire meeting. Toastmaster Tarun has been there for the entire meeting, keeping again making sure we are able to become part of the process for the entire 1.5 hours. Thank you so much. I see a lot of faces and a lot of names that I know of. Toastmaster Arvind, Toastmaster Sunil, Toastmaster Aditya. Thank you all for making this event a special one and taking out time on a Sunday evening. And thank you so much, Toastmaster Louisa, for doing this in the morning hours at your end. At I believe 8:30 in the morning is something that we started at your time. So that's it. That's it from my end. And again, if Toastmaster Nitin, if you might have any parting words before we can call it a day or for us a night, the stage is yours to again help us with something to again make this remember in the coming weeks, years,
Thank you
months.
so much. And Toastmaster Marcelino has been doing a hard diligence here. They have written everything from the start to finish and in such a wonderful manner that I would request everyone who's here copy it and use it, give credit, of course. And thank you so much, Toastmaster Luisa, for being so democratic and so wonderful here. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And good night for us and a great day to you. You are on mute. You're on mute still.
Yes, thank you so much. And I apologize that I broke away there for a few seconds. What I love to do every time I am on Zoom, whether it's a podcast or a session, I go back to the chat and I try to read. So what I was doing right now was screenshotting all the chat so that I'm able to go back and get feedback, because it's still important to me to try to become a better speaker. Just because I won a trophy doesn't mean I'm a great speaker. So if people still have questions, I will try to address them in other sessions, because I want everybody to be a great speaker. I really do. The possibilities are endless, and I wish that for everyone. So thank you again for the invite. Thank you for all your kind words. And I can't wait to get to India there in May. So hopefully I'll be able to see a few of you. You're amazing.
And thank you everyone for being such a lovely audience, listening to us and not interrupting that much. That was wonderful. And special thanks to all those people who opened their cameras, because initially Toastmaster Luisa told us that she might not be able to open the camera. And I thought we are going into the ancient world when podcasts were audio. But when she saw all of you, she didn't miss the chance and just opened the camera and was wonderful to us.
Is there a way to take a group photo or a shot of everybody?
Yes, let's do that.
Cool.
Yes, please, let's do that.
Awesome. Did we get it? Do I have to keep smiling?
I hope we have taken the screenshot. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
so, Toastmaster Loisa, just a quick question again. We are just winding this up. You're coming to
Sure.
India. So, how have you been working on your Hindi, if I may ask, for
I'm
the
sorry.
past?
How have I been working on what?
How have you been working on our regional languages, our native languages, just to again connect with our side of the world better for the upcoming May 2025 that you're planning for? Tamil or
Ooh.
Hindi, any language that you are something that you know of, if you can, if you want to if you want to share with us.
The only languages I know English, I know Spanish, and I know a little French. But what is the common language there in Chennai to where I can start getting on an app and maybe learning a few words? What is the language there?
It's Tamil.
Tamil.
How do you spell that?
Tamil.
Tamil?
Yes.
Tamil. Tamil. Okay, let me write that down. Ooh. I'm not going to give a whole keynote, okay, in Tamil, but I want to say a few words. Tamil. Tamil. Native language in India. Okay, let me work on that. Cool. Got it.
And would you like to say dhanyavad?
I'm sorry, are you speaking to me?
Yes. Would you like to say dhanyavad?
Aniva?
Dhanyavad.
Kaniva?
Dha. DHA.
Spell it for me.
DHA. NYAWAD.
It means thank you.
Dhanawad.
Now we will say dhanyavad to you.
Oh, is it thank you or hello?
It's thank you.
Thank you. Dhanawad.
So
Okay, cool.
we all are saying dhanyavad to you.
Well, Dhanawad to you too. Cool. Dhanawad. Thank you. Okay, cool. I'm excited.
By the way, I just wanted to mention Tamil is the language of the place where you're going. Chennai is in Tamil Nadu. So in Tamil Nadu, Tamil is the most spoken language. India's got a variety of languages. In the south, it's Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, and most of the north speak Hindi. So there are diversity of languages. So the place where you're going, they mostly speak Tamil.
Okay, good. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, see, now I'm going to work on something else. This is so exciting. Cool. And you can laugh if I say things wrong. I'm okay with that. It's all right. But I do have to admire, and I do say this anytime that I speak to any other culture where English is not the first language or anything like that, because to be able to speak fluently in a second language just shows the level of intelligence you possess, and that's amazing. So hats off to all of you who know more than one language. I think that's great. That's really, really great. High level of intelligence. My father always said that. He made us learn Spanish and English because he wanted us to know at least more than one language. So again, hats off to any of you who know more than one language. Great job. Cool. Wow.
Thank
So
you,
many people.
Luisa. I love your dogs. I thought I will
Oh,
say this to you.
come here,
Lots of
Susie.
love to them. Lots of love to them. Lots of
Thank
love
you,
to
thank you,
you.
thank you.
God bless you. Lots of love to your dogs too.
Thank you so much. Come here, Susie. Yes, 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 yes. They're from India. They're looking at you. Oh my goodness. You didn't even take a bath. You didn't even take a bath. None of you did. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
sweetheart.
What's the matter, Mama? What's the matter, Mama? Yeah, yes, yeah. Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you. You can get down. Thank you. Thank you, Mama. May I ask what time it is there in India?
It's 9:32 of the night.
Oh, okay. So
PM.
it's still early. Very good.
Yes,
Awesome. And
not too late.
it's Sunday or is it Monday?
It's Sunday.
Sunday. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Cool. What do you want? What do you want? It's over. It's over. They don't want to see you anymore. You didn't even take a bath. Look at you.
So we have different people from Indonesia as well. There is Elios. So it's
Yes.
2300
Yep.
hours there. It's
11:02.
11. Yes, 11:02.
No. No.
Awesome.
If anybody wants this one, I'll take him to India. He doesn't stop barking. So if anybody wants him, I'll take him. You're gonna go to India. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. But you don't let me sleep at night.
Doesn't stop barking. That means he's also a Toastmaster.
Yes, yes, yes. But he's not on a time limit. You know, he doesn't care if
Yes.
he gets the red light. He keeps talking. He keeps barking. Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. We're done. We're done. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
I appreciate the time. I've got another podcast in half an hour, but I
All
had
the
fun,
best.
and I hope to see some of you maybe in May in Chennai. And my email, if you need to get in contact with me, you have any questions about your competing and you want some insight or help on no, down. Oh. If you want any kind of help on your speech, I can look it over for you. My email is montalvo.luisa@yahoo.com. That's my last name, Montalvo, and then .luisa@yahoo.com. Now, I will tell you, I will admit, I'm really kind of bad at getting back to people, reading my emails. But if I don't answer you the first time, email me again and email me again. I'm here to help anybody try to become a better public speaker because we all have the potential to do that. We do. Okay? You guys, I got to go. I wish I could stay longer. I'll see you later.
you.
Hopefully, you have another
Yes.
podcast. Invite me. I'm more than welcome to share any of my advice, my tips. And one thing I want to say about that is two things. I will give you all the knowledge I have on how to become a better speaker and how to win contests. And that's for two reasons. One, if I give you all my knowledge and you beat me, then you listen to what I told you, and now I have to get better. But if I give you all my knowledge and I beat you, then you have to get better. So it's either way, I'm more than willing to help anyone. Okay. Thank you guys. I got to go. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Love to India. It's
Dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad. There you go. Dhanyavad. Thank you guys. We'll see you.